The website development space. So that's what we set up ProRank to do. We actually went to a lawyer that worked for the city to ask for help. She must have talked to PennDOT, and PennDOT came to us and said, thanks, but, no thanks, kind of. And Cheney had to actually do it. They had to let us go because we were working for Cheney, who was implementing the contract for PennDOT. So in 2012, we had the opportunity to either kind of practice what we've been preaching at this supportive service center, helping women and minorities build their business, or go back to work for somebody else, right? So it's only right after you spend all that time telling folks, and if you have a business and you've called any of these folks and these programs and these agencies, they will talk to you like, oh, you got to do this, then you got to do that, then you got to, so they'll talk to you like they know, like they've been there. So we thought that it was only right for us to actually test the waters and do it ourselves. And, 10 years later, we're still rolling, so long story short, we had a lot of success, and we started a diversity consulting company, and that's what we're doing now, basically diversity, equity, and inclusion, diversity consulting. Sorry for the long draw.
Oh, no, that was awesome. That was awesome. It gave a good history as to like how you got there, because I think that's what sometimes we lack in our communities. We lack sharing the information and sharing the knowledge so that someone else can kind of take that next step. You want to get to this goal, but you have a hard time because you don't know all the steps, and then on top of that, sometimes you think it's easy, that it shows that it took years, of building on something and kind of taking those steps. So Bianca, did you have anything?
Yeah, I did like that. It seemed like in order to get your start, you had someone who was willing to reach back. And then when you got on, you did the same thing. You reached back to the college friends. So I think that's a pretty important message that more people need to hear. Just that element of it, like, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have you were doing music, right? So he didn't have to. So that's pretty cool. I really like that.
Okay, so then so when did you join up with the group?
During the pandemic. So 2020. Okay. But I mean, Kyron and I have been knowing each other since like yay high. So
since Henderson.
Yeah, and so before that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been able to be the ear for him, like his ear board throughout all that time. And just listen to the stories and he's able to vent to me sometimes, and I can maybe process it in my own little way, being like a small business owner as well, and give him a little bit of feedback. But I guess as the company continued to grow, an opportunity opened up, especially when everyone was home during the pandemic. ProRank was designed for at-home businesses. You know what I mean? That's what ProRank is, giving people the opportunity to set their businesses up, kind of modify themselves in that situation to be able to just work from home and be just as efficient. So I've been, I kind of, what Kyron says, he says, I initiated myself by kind of taking some steps, going through the programs, that some of the courses that we have, and just taking them, just online and, while I'm home, and just going through the process and learning, picking up stuff, absorbing the information, until at this point, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I know so much more about business development and the opportunities that the company is providing. So, yeah, that's pretty much how we linked up, and, just being on the same wavelength and a lot of, just life. I think one of the main things that connected us was this one book by Deepak Chopra called 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And my mother gave me that book, and I read it, and I really dug it at the time. I think I was like 21 or something like that. And Kyron came to me one day and I was like, yo, you got to read this book. He sat down and read the whole book at my house in like an hour. And, you know, like he tells me almost every day, at least once a week, he still refers to that book and its concepts every day and uses that to, you know, to further the business. Why are you laughing?
Once a week, at least once a week. That's funny.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's
can you
what
put the
my
name of
life
that
is.
book if you can in the chat so that we have it?
Sure.
So, you guys, okay, so the business, does it only work with Department of Transportation? I checked out some of the videos that you guys have. We'll put those links that you had to your YouTube, the ProRank Academy information that you sent, Kenny.
Yes.
We'll add that so it does not just work with transportation. So can you expound upon that?
Right. What and when you say, and I think you're talking about that system, right? ProRank Academy, pretty much.
Yes.
When you say it doesn't just work with the so in what we do, diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? There's a lot of prongs to it. There's a lot of facets to it. Diversity encompasses everything, right? We deserve equity in everything, in all industries. And really, first and foremost, that's what this system is. This system is designed to support and promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's what it is. It's a company that's designed to help promote equity and inclusion specifically for African American owned businesses. So what we've done is start with transportation, because what we found is in the equity inclusion space, you probably want to start your fight, if you have a choice, in the public sector, right? Because everybody pays into the public sector equally, right? So that means that the public sector has initiatives to make sure that there's equitable inclusion of everybody when contracts are awarded, when money is spent. But see, it doesn't work that way for Walmart or always Comcast or other private companies, right? Because, you know, if they aren't getting their money from a public funding source, then they can do what they want with their money. They can hire who they want. They can act like they want, here, we want to do this, but they can do what there is no oversight, right? So what we do is, because transportation is something that is in every state, it's normally one of the largest publicly funded opportunities. It works pretty much the same in every state. We use that as the kind of base to hang our programs off of, right? And to hang our initiatives off of. Another key thing about transportation is when you look at diversity programs, right? There's MBE, WBE, DBE. If you're familiar with them, you heard them, VSOB, LGBT. It's the acronym soup, right? Of all of these crazy acronyms, you need that, get 2 of these, 3 of these, right? But really, if you just get the one from the Department of Transportation in your state, and you get certified as a diverse business with them, normally all of those other local certifications will accept that certification. They'll streamline to that certification. And that's because that's being administered through a federal regulation, a code called 49 CFR Part 26 and Part 23. Again, 49 CFR Part 26 and Part 23. And that will explain the DBE program around the country. And all of those hundreds of millions of dollars that were awarded every other Thursday, they have goals for inclusion of diverse businesses, right? Because we're all paying to have those roads and bridges built equally. So the award of that is supposed to be coming to us too, right? And we start there because if we can help people understand that certification and get that certification, it normally trickles down to all of your other local opportunities, your municipal, so say maybe your city opportunities, right? But also all of the other Department of Transportation funded agencies use that. So you have The Federal Highway Administration is funding all of your DOTs, your PennDOT, your DelDOT, but then you have Federal Aviation Administration funding all of your airports. They're using that same certification. You have Federal Transit Administration funding all your bus and train stations. They're using that same certification. So those hundreds of millions of dollars I'm talking about is just for one agency, right? I didn't even get to SEPTA or the airports or, and when you get this certification, a lot of times your city and your local opportunities will accept that certification too. So because we understand that process, those regulations in and out, not only can we help small, diverse businesses navigate that certification process and others, we also help agencies build certification programs that are federally compliant, right? And that's really the big part of our service. That's where we generate income from. Because I'm not trying to charge a nonprofit for strategic planning. I'm not trying to charge a small, diverse business to help you figure out where to go or who to get help or to get a strategic plan even for yourself. What we do is we try to do it up front, and then we go back to the agencies and to the program partners that were supposed to be doing it in the first place, right? And then we'll give them a plan to do it more effectively. And then now they got a choice because they're publicly funded. If you don't want this plan, well, tell us what yours is then. Because this plan is working and we're already helping your constituents with it. Do you want to hear from them? Right? Mm-hmm. So this is something that anybody can do. This is really this is the marketing and promotion strategy that I suggest that any small business that's getting started, especially a small diverse business, you don't have to send a dime. Go right to your local civics organizations, your neighborhood civics, your grassroots political, the smallest as they get. You go to those meetings and you volunteer your services for the good of your community. And pretty soon, when the politicians need votes, they're going to be there talking to those people, and the people are going to be lifting you up to them. And those community leaders, they're going to be lifting you up to them. And then you're going to be hearing about money, opportunities, and grants well ahead of when they come down the pipeline, right? Because those politicians and those folks are the ones controlling that stuff, right? So this is how you get into the public sector. A lot of people think you do it from the top down, kissing butt, calling the director of this and trying to, that's not how it works. It works from the bottom up. You get the know, like, and respect of your community, and you let the community take you to these agencies, to these politicians. And then the agencies will call you, hey, we got a contract we were thinking to be perfect for you. That's how the public sector works, right? So,
okay.
Secret. Yeah.
We ask questions too, or we just like here getting the
Sure.
Yeah, this conversation.
So how would you all's business be able to, like, say I was just starting out with a business and I'm struggling and I know it's stressful and just how would you all be able to help me, like, maybe organize my thoughts and organize my my business plan, maybe to be more successful?
I call Kyron. That's not what the answer.
I was like, if you talk about organized thoughts, I got that one. I got it.
I'd be like,
well, let's start over here. All right. No, it would involve coaching, obviously, vocational coaching, trying to see what your goals are. A lot of times we know we want something, but we don't know what it is. And so a lot of the coaching is just about trying to, like, streamline what that want is so that you can work towards it. I know with us starting this business, it was overwhelming because we wanted to do everything. We wanted to feed the homeless, we want to save the planet, we want, and a lot of it is just about you just finding that direction. Okay, we can start here. We can probably get to saving the planet later, but right now we need to work on, the mental aspect. So I think it's just about trying to figure out what that immediate goal is, what obstacles are in the way, and then helping you try to figure out how to get rid of those things.
Okay. Thank you.
And then we call Kyron.
Right. And then
anything past that. Yeah.
So one of the questions that we had put up there, and either one of you guys can jump in for this. So we have like, we really oversimplified our goal, like what you guys did, just so we could wrap our mind around it.
Okay.
But basically, what we were thinking was that a company would come to you and says, I need a minority-owned business to fulfill my legal requirements for this city contract. Is that what they would do? They would come to you and kind of say that, or when I say come to you, either you by your app or your, the platforms that you've designed, right?
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's one element. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your question.
Oh, okay. And then you would say, we got just a business, and then you go to a business you think meets the requirements and help them develop what they need, like their deficits, to submit a successful bid on that contract. Like, you help develop them if they aren't well developed, or?
Well, see, what you did was you kind of combined a couple different scenarios into one, right?
Okay.
So one scenario will be I'm a prime contractor and I'm trying to find diverse businesses. How can you help me? Right? And that's kind of its own scenario, because now the prime is like the client, or that's the person that we're helping, however. And now we have to go through a triage, right? What kind of help do you need? What kind of project? Now, if it's for a project that we're already getting paid to help diverse businesses with, then we're not going to, it's already paid for, it's covered, and we know what you're looking for. But one of the most important things in that scenario is to take the time to probe the prime and to ask who the funder of that project is that they need a diverse business for. All right. That's the key. Follow the funding, follow the money, because there's a million different certifications, and the prime never really know what they need. They just know they need somebody that look like you, right? But if you don't have the right certification, then you're going to waste a whole bunch of time. You're going to do that quote, you're going to do that takeoff, and they'll say, you know what? We don't need you. We thought we needed you, but you don't have the right one. We need somebody. And that's all they wanted, was that certification. So first thing I would do is say, look, what kind of project is it? Is it city? Is it state? Is it federal? Is it PennDOT? Is it highway? Figure out who the funder is, because then I'll know with certainty what certification that they're looking for. Then what I'll do is get them to that database where that certification exists, if there is, right? And most of the time, I'm not going to try to charge somebody for this kind of, because this is goodwill. This is the kind of stuff that you want to do for people. If you could do it in 10 or 15 minutes, that builds the goodwill of your business, that builds your brand, that gives you a reputation that can't be bought or sold down the road unless you choose to, so that's the kind of stuff that I'll just do for folks, right? And but there's another scenario where a firm will come to you and say, look, I'm trying to get on a project, right? And can you help me find PennDOT opportunities? We have to do triage again, right? What certifications do you already have? Because based on the certifications that you have, we might already be being paid for to service you, from PennDOT or from another agency, and we can go give you $1,000 a year or something like that, because you have the right certification, and we're already getting the funding, and we already have the program set up through this agency to help you at a higher level. If you don't have any of these initial certifications, then all right, the first question we're going to ask you is, what kind of work are you trying to target? Who are you trying to do work with, right? Now, if you're trying to do work with, people that have houses and stuff like that, you're trying to clean people's houses, you don't necessarily need to be certified, because they're not checking your certification, right? So don't spend a whole bunch of time and energy trying to get certified or trying to do, if you're going private, right? If you're cleaning private houses. Now, if you do want to do public contracting, you want to do work with your city or your county, now you might definitely want to think about a certification. But then we really have to think about which certification is best for you, because if you might not want to start at the top most strenuous, tedious certification to get certified, maybe the contracts that you're going for only require this certification that you could pay for $150 and get real quick and easy. They're going to come out, they're going to check. So that's what we do, is really help people navigate and not just say, because every company is unique, every situation is unique, and you really have to talk to folks and understand what their situation is, and then try to give them the guidance that's proper for them. So that's what we try to do. But then, let me give you another scenario too, because this is really the biggest scenario. An agency comes to us and says, look, we need a program for diversity. We know we're not doing what we need to do to get enough women and minorities participating on our. We try, but we can't. We don't know where to find them. We just can't find them. So now helping them come up with a strategic plan, right? Okay, what do you have? What don't you have? Where is your money coming from? What are your requirements? What are you doing? What are you not doing? Right? And then gauging how serious they are. Because after that, we'll help anybody get straight. But we're not going to get into a long-term contract with you if you're not serious about helping people. As a business owner, you have to understand that all money is not good money, and every client is not your client. That's a hard one for us to get. But if it's going to hurt your brand, and if it doesn't resonate with you in here, you need to walk away. Because that's always, whether you understand it or not, you always make the correct business decision from your gut 9 times out of 10. And whenever you're in doubt, just do the right karmically. Whatever the right thing is karmically to help people, it might even feel like the wrong business decision, but you'll find out down the road how that benefited you. How, you couldn't even have planned how that decision that day benefited you down the road. Just by doing the right thing karmically, right? So, yeah. Sorry for going off on tangents too, but I'm kind of passionate about this stuff. So, we could be here all day,
No, we love it. We love it. We're glad because you're I had questions, but like Bianca said, we're checking them off like, oh, he answered that. And he's, and like I said, the more clarification that you can get, because our goal with this is to not only, do a little bit of promotion for you and for us, but also to give people some thoughts to, that there are resources out there and that there are companies that could support your dreams, because that's what it's about, helping people make goals. I mean, for us, that you have a goal and you have someone that helps you, figure out, navigate how to get there. Because like Bianca and I've had to try to, I don't know, we've had to learn everything kind of the hard way ourselves, because we really haven't had too much. I don't know, Bianca, what do you?
Yeah, I think learning on the fly. Like, this isn't my first nonprofit. It is my first time in a nonprofit where people are just as my team is just as passionate as me, which helps. And it doesn't feel like I'm just, doing all the work for other people to be the face. Outside of Breath is Life, of course. But yeah, this is, and so I do understand the passion. Right. Sherelle's gonna watch this excuse me. But I do understand that passion, and I do understand the importance of, like you said, helping people realize their dreams. And so I do have a question about that, just because why would, and not, I don't know how to phrase this without sounding like an Aries. Why would why wouldn't a company or a municipality, why wouldn't they just go to Dunn and Broad Street and just, Google Negroes? You know what I'm saying? Just, why come to you?
Negroes.
Right.
Because Negroes aren't all Dun and Brad Street.
Okay.
Because Dun and Brad service is private, right?
Right.
And if you don't pay that $500, you do have some basic stuff there, but your profile's not there. You know what I mean? And then also,
gotcha. Yeah.
The other thing is too is a lot of times folks just think that they need a list of Negroes. You know what I mean? And you need more than a list of Negroes. Negroes might not be in business no more. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those Negroes might be messing with you. You know what I mean? Those Negroes might not be able to do the work, even if they are in business and they say that they're in business. And when they can't do the work, And if you come do the work, you already know that's going to set everybody back again. You know what I mean? Because now that's everybody couldn't do. That's how that worked. But really, it was your fault for not vetting the person. It was the agency's fault because you didn't vet the person. And whenever you don't, you don't ask proper questions, then that's what's going to happen. So, yeah, they come to us honestly because, like you, we care about what we do. So we build this list. We're not just getting a list of folks, but we're scraping all of the federal lists that we have that we utilize for these program partners, PennDOT and airports. We're getting their lists, and then we're compiling all of that information into one spot. And we're creating a list that actually doesn't exist anywhere else, right? Because we care, right? And that value add on top of the fact of we're asking folks to come submit resumes as well. So that's something that they've never had. They have a list of folks, but a resume, oh my gosh, or a capability statement with an actual, imagine that, right? So you can actually see what this person does and not just their contact information, right? And then reach out to them and vet them. And then with the system that we have, if they're in there, then you can reach out to them, connect with them, and then ask them questions, right? And really engage them and take the next step. And that's what we're trying to foster. We've been doing, since I've been involved with the DBE Supportive Service Program since 2007, every year we do a needs assessment of diverse businesses. And every single year, the biggest need, the highest, the number one barrier for DBEs is networking with prime contractors and consultants. Networking, getting in front of them, building relationships. It's the number one. Even more than you would think financing, you know what I mean? You would think a whole bunch of stuff. Networking, really? But that's it. So
why is that? Why is there such a disparity with that? They just don't know how to get to the primes, or
that's what discrimination looks like. Let me tell it. Now, here's the thing too. These programs, you ask them, it'll always be the business owner doesn't have the wherewithal, right? The business owner doesn't know how to get in front of the prime. If you take this course, then you'll be able to network when you're done. You know what I mean? It's not that easy, right? Because that's assuming that racism, discrimination does not exist, right? So what we're trying to do with this system is build face recognition, face brand recognition, right? They start dealing with you from a distance, right? And checking you out. Oh, maybe they could help me. And then you start chatting over time. And then you do go to that physical networking event. And now when you see them in person, they recognize you. Oh, hey, it's my social network buddy from this professional social network. And now maybe you're one step closer to doing business with that, that organization. And then also what we're doing is, since we have everybody there, we're creating those lists. To your earlier question, we're removing that. We can't find that excuse, and we don't charge anybody to access our lists. So you can't say, if you can't find them, and you don't have your own database, then here, why don't you use ours free of charge on the house? Right? That puts pressure on. And as long as you're willing to do that in the public sector, eventually you're going to win, because eventually they're going to get comfortable letting you do their work, right? Because it's not their company. They don't care that much. It's an agency, right? And so the least they have to do, the better. And if they find partners like you that are willing to start lifting the load for them, they're going to start showing the load to you. And then next thing you know, they're going to know that they got to pay you some money. They're going to know that they need you pretty soon. And when the grant comes, they'll put the bug in your ear. When the contract comes, they'll put the bug in your ear. You're actually already executing it. That's the secret, right? So one of the things that we always talk about at ProRank is they always teach you, you reap what you sow, you reap what you sow, you reap what you sow. And when they say that to you, they say reap first and sow second. So you start thinking, reap, sow, reap, sow, reap, sow, and you come with your hand out talking about my billable hour is $200. You ain't doing that. Who are you? But if you actually sow something first, right? If you actually do some work up front, then people see that you're not just there for the money. you know, and then you're actually working from you're working from love and from passion, which is always going to put your best foot forward, right? Which probably leads me into another topic that a question that I know you were probably going to ask me, but it all ties in. So I'm just going, and it's basically, this is what I would tell somebody that's trying to start their business, right? And people come to me and say, I'm trying to start a business. All right, you know, what should I do? I can't decide what to do, or I can't decide what should I do first. What's the first step? Trying to start a business, right? The first step is, what do you love to do? Figure out what you love to do. What you would do. I asked people, what would you do if you had all the money in the world and you got done doing the vacation? Because you know you're going to go on some vacations and trips and parties, whatever, buy all your stuff. But then you get done with that. You get sick of that. You're going to settle down and do something to pass your time. Whatever that is, if you can figure it out and tap into that and build your business around that, now you're never going to feel like you're working. You're never going to feel like you're working. And then now when you implement the strategy that we just gave you, right, to go volunteer your time in the community, they're going to be like, who is this person? You know, because you're doing what you love to do from a place of love to help your people. Everybody wins, right? And that's the same thing that I tell folks when we're hiring new staff members, right? When we're hiring people for ProRank, trying to figure out what they first thing I'm gonna ask for, if anything, I'm gonna ask you that same question. If you had all the money in the world, right, and done vacation, what would you do? Because that answer, even though you're telling me you want to come work with me, that's where I need to place you in my organization. That's how I need to figure out how to utilize you, because that's how you're gonna reach your highest level and your highest potential. That's how it's not going to feel like work when you're working with our organization. You're gonna love to come to work, right? So if business owners can just remember that and implement that, or even business owners that are hiring employees, remember that when they're placing their employees, then your company is going to go a lot further and your employees will go a lot further as well.
You said something. Oh, okay. Go ahead, B.
No, go ahead, D, before you lose it.
Oh, because you know, I'll be like, quick question. Oh my God, I almost lost it. No, you said, do you guys do any type of like morale building or whatever with the companies? Once you kind of make these connections, do you do any type of check-ins or anything like that?
That's you could probably tell by talking to me, that's just built in me. So when I'm talking to firms, like we do a lot of one-on-one coaching and counseling with diverse businesses. So that's kind of baked into my model. I won't say that we have a system set up like you all do, right? Like we need that's what we would call you. You know what I mean? But just when I talk to folks, you know, I try to do that in conversation, but I don't say we don't have anything formally structured on like a morale boosting, but that would be something where the system that we have to organize our partners. So if we had a partner as yourself that had some, you know, courses or some, then what we would do is we would direct those folks straight to you all, right? And if we're all one spot virtually, then we let the experts work on, you know, the mental state and the, you know, handle that stuff, and we would handle the business building. You know what I mean? And that's what we try to find as part of
a virtual business.
I'm sorry.
No, like we would give your business like a virtual business suite, so all of your like clients could come meet you there. You know, right on. That's what one thing we haven't really discussed too much is the actual system that ProRank has, like really allows you to go in there and like educate yourself. Once you know, maybe start off with some like startup tutorials, you'll figure out how to navigate around the system, and you'll eventually educate yourself on where you want to go personally with your business.
Nice. So a lot of what you just talked about, so when I mentioned, you know, trying to bite off, like eat the whole pie, right? And getting overwhelmed as a consequence, it seems like with ProRank, you started, I think you had mentioned like the web development And now you have like the business consulting and the data management, and while doing the research and looking on the website, I was like, man, this is a lot. And so is this one of those things where it just evolved as you saw the need, or was that always like your goal?
It was ever since we left the DBE Supportive Service Center, right? And that whole kind of situation, it was like we knew what needed to be done for our people after that. And we said, what we're going to do is a supportive service program is like a lot of different individual services a la carte. So what we said is we're going to basically rebuild those services a la carte and provide supportive services to Delaware and Pennsylvania. And we'll let the market determine of this a la carte plate which ones they want to choose from, right? And we found that some get chosen more than others, right? And we could do all of this stuff, but you won't do it all. But the smart thing is let your market decide. Let your consumer decide from your list. Don't just start scratching stuff off and saying, we're going to stop doing this. We're going to, put it all out there. Let your consumer tell you, what to stick with and what not to, stick with is what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's what we did. We for like a year, we were just kind of spinning our wheels. And then we actually had a focus group and let the community tell us like, okay, what do you need? And so, yeah, we were able to whittle it down just like that. So it's good to know we were on the right track, Danny.
So like 7 years of starting and building and creating and moving and shaking and all that other stuff. How did you take care of yourself as far as wellness was concerned? How did you not feel so overwhelmed that you just said, screw it, I'll go back and do something else, either give up or be able to maintain the passion with keeping yourself like sane?
That the only way that I think you do that, and that's why they tell you most businesses fail the first 5 years, 90, they say like 99%, 95% fail, 10 years or something like that. That's why it's so important to start off with that first question. What do I love? What is my purpose? What am I here for? I feel as though I'm truly here to service my people, and I love doing it. That makes me happy. That's what I feel my purpose is. Everybody might not feel that way, right? So if you don't feel that way, don't get into don't start doing this. You know what I mean? Do what you need to do, but that's what I need to do, right? Just as a person. So I would be, if I had all of the money in the world, I would be doing something like this in the community anyway. You know what I mean? So I don't even feel like I'm working. And even when it gets rough, when it gets hard, I'm like, well, damn, at least I'm not working. At least I'm having fun. At least I'm having fun, right? And it might be work to somebody. And you'd be like, man, how do you do this around the clock? It's fun to me because fortunately I was able to find, I believe, what my purpose was. And if everybody's that fortunate, right? And I think that's a big thing with wellness, health and wellness is everybody's on this individual journey to discover who they are and what their purpose is and reach self-actualization, right? Is what they'll call it technically. So if you can be fortunate enough to tap in and to realize really what you want to do and what makes you happy, then build your business around it, build your life around it, and it won't pull you apart. It'll pull everything together, right? And instead of feel like it's pulling you in a million different directions. That's what works for me personally.
All right, good. Kenny, what about you?
I feel the same way. I think that personally, I've gone through many jobs. Like my last job was like working on the train. And I like elements of working on the train. It's an adventure. You get to travel. You're not, staying in the same place at all the time. But then after some time there, I realized like I don't get to express myself. I'm kind of like a robot. I'm like 2 steps away from being a robot. And I imagine in like 5-10 years, there'll be robots or some type of automated system doing that particular job. So I said to myself, I can't continue to do this because this has nothing to do with my true calling or what I love to do the most. So I agree. I think that, and then in that, when you're in that space, when you might realize this isn't for me, but it might take you a little while to get out of it. Then that's when you start, maybe feeling a little imprisoned or feeling like, bogged down or overwhelmed or just stressed out because you're just not in your right mind. You're not in your right, you're not in your true purpose. Other than that, though, there are some things like holistically that I love to talk. I love to talk to Danielle. Like that helps me like get through my week. You know what I mean? I love to talk to just a lot of people. So getting that off my chest, that helps relieve stress, exercise, meditation. Kyron and I were talking about meditation last night, and I think he's gone a little bit more advanced than I have, because I feel like being able to just be still for 5 to 10 minutes, that's a chore, because I feel like, oh, I got to get up, I got to go do this. Even if my physical is still, I feel like the impulse is still there for me to go out and do these things. But I know over time, if I continue to do that, those urges will go away and I'll be able to meditate a little bit better. So, but that's another way to, alleviate stress and, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does. Yeah, because you do a lot of running, like in the woods and stuff like that.
I don't know why, but I
that.
love the woods. I feel like one day I'm just going to stay out there and just be like not a murderer or nothing, but just like a jungle man, like Tarzan or something. You know what I'm saying? Like I have like a connection with nature. And again, that started with that book that I put in the chat. He says that you should spend time with nature. So
okay.
Whether that's going into nature or you maybe having some plants around your house or some gemstones or something, that's all part of nature.
Yeah, that took a turn. Not like a murderer. I'm like, wait, what? Okay.
It's like, oh.
Okay. I mean,
people get trapped up out there in the woods. You saw like, probably, what I mean?
Thank you for clarifying, Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
We feel safe again.
Right. Thank you. So yeah, I think and it's a question that I always ask because I'm always confronted with this. And I know you got passionate, and I know you use that passion as fuel to drive you. But like, how do you keep the people around you galvanized? Like, it's one thing for you to be like, oh, I'm so passionate about my dream, but like your team may be like, I mean, it's cool. But so how do you keep them galvanized?
That's funny. That's the second part of the answer, right? The first thing I ask everybody I employ, what do you love to do, right? Because if you tell me I love to make money, you know what I mean? Like, you probably need to be a banker. You know what I mean? Because this isn't that. If you tell me you love to help people, you love to service people, then, but everything is not for everybody. So my team consists of folks that I know we're like-minded, right? And they're service-oriented, like I'm service-oriented. And we're going to find a way to help our people. It's us versus them. That's what keeps us going, right? We're not doing this for money. We're doing this for impact, and that's, if people don't understand that I'm working with, then I really don't want to work with them, right? And you'll look around the company. That's why so many of our company happen to look like us. Not saying we'll hire anybody, but it's easy for folks to look like us to get on board with the mission of this company, because the mission of this company is not to make money at the end of the day. We understand that making money is an end result. It's a byproduct, but it's our mission is to impact and to help the next generation of business owners and civic leaders, change our situations, our systemic situation as a people. And that's not hard for us to get behind, I don't think. With everything that's going on, like, that's something that people can tap into. And that's something that gives you extra, it's not hard to fight for that, I don't think, right? And as long as you have something, that's why your company mission, it needs to be bigger than you. It can't be about making as much money. If your company has a mission to make an impact and to service others, right? And that's why the first question is, what do you love to do and how can you use it to help other people? Because that's the other key, is how can you use what you love to do to help other people? Those two things. And we didn't even talk about money, right? As long as you're doing what you love to do to help other people, you'll find other people that love to do that too, right? And then if they love to help other people too, then they'll do it on their, you can get volunteers to work with you, right? A lot of, you know what the best compliment that we get is this: how do you all get paid? How do you all make money? From the firms that we help, from the people we're helping, the DBEs, because we never charge them anything. They never see a money transaction, right? They don't understand. Are you a nonprofit? You're a for-profit business? How do you do this for us, right? So that's like, I think, and our employees get that same admiration too, and that's a form of payment. That respect and that admiration, when people are thanking you like that, and they feel that appreciation, and you didn't have to charge them a dime. You know, they still don't understand how you did it. They still just think you helped them for free, you hooked them up or something like that. They don't know, right? And I think that goodwill, because I think maybe all of us have had jobs, maybe those call center jobs, when you're doing stuff and you don't feel good when you come home. You're like, oh man, or you might not feel good after some of them call center calls back in the day you was in college doing them, you know? So I know I had those jobs. So this is
I did too.
Right?
I worked at Best right up there in Hampton. So yeah, I remember those awful phone calls. So
yeah.
I know that I don't want to keep you guys too long. You guys have been so informative. I'm glad I'm glad that Kenny was open to, to this and, got you on board. One of the last questions is, okay, our business, what we do, it's life enrichment, wellness coaching, different types of coaching, different type of workshops. We have a youth program, all these different type of things. If we came to you and we said, walk us through how simple the process is for you did it already, kind of, but just to kind of make it solid, walk us through the process.
Right. So a company like yourself, right? You're not immediately applicable to our programs in Pennsylvania, right? A DBE, first of all, is a for-profit company. So as a nonprofit, you wouldn't be able to be a DBE per se, but because you're a diverse business and you're calling us and you're asking for help, I'm going to do like a free strategic planning session with you, right? And I would probe and I would ask you a little bit about, the things that you just told me about your company. And I've actually looked at your company and looked at your website. What I would tell you all to do, or something to think about, would be to make some videos, some video consultations, right? Do some video mentor coaching. Just give some of the stuff away that you do, that you're charging maybe $40, $60 an hour. Do about 10 to 15 hours worth of videos, right? Then go to those civics meetings that I was telling you about, right? And as soon as they start talking about the stress and the trauma of the teenagers and the community and all of the stuff going on, that's when you're going to come in and say, we're a company, we're local, we're not looking for anything from the community, but we have something to give that might be of service, that might, and what we could do to help you get that to the community is put your videos that still live on your YouTube channel that you own and control. We could help you make a course out of those on our platform for free, right? We can help you make quizzes, a certificate, and everything, so that when people in your community, now when they take the course, you can now show a track record of how many folks in your community that you've helped. Mm-hmm. Now, as a nonprofit, I don't know if you smell it, but we're setting up a grant for you right now, right? The way that grants work, most people think that when the grant comes out, let me hurry up and write and put together a team to do this and tell them how good we can execute it. the people that win grants are the ones that are already executing the grant, right? That's the secret. And when you have all of those community partners, you have all the civics leaders already on board, you have a track record of helping the folks in your community, there's going to be grants for mental health. There's always grants for mental health. Now you have the partners and you have the track record. And before you get to the grant, you might even get tapped on the shoulder by the county for a contract with them, or by one of those politicians there to do something with them, or to, you know what I mean? So that would be the strategic plan for you. And what I would do is help you set that up in your regional room. Right now, we actually do have a room for Texas, right? And you all have a branch in Texas. We have Texas and Florida, I believe.
Dallas,
right, so
Dallas, Fort Worth, and Tampa, Florida.
The Metroplex area, right? There's a Metroplex Civics Association right there, right? And again, go in there, and you all will probably be a minority given the demographic out there is probably highly Hispanic, I would imagine, right? So, and there are goals, there are goals a lot of times for, women, for African Americans, separate, classes and things like that. So that actually could work in your favor in that market, because a lot of our folks don't go to those, unless it's in our communities, you know what I mean? So when you go to those in diverse communities and things like that, there's often opportunities there for you in the diversity and inclusion space. So I would check it out, and offer your services, and, and I would keep working with you, because if we can help you build out more companies and more resources for Texas, right, then that helps us maybe come into Texas down the road and help some firms with DBE, right, or help Texas Dot and show Texas Dot that we have a track record of helping firms in Texas, right, before we even approach them or anything. Hey, we've been doing this here for 3 years in Texas, and we've helped this many DBEs do this, right? So that's how you kind of pay it forward. It pays it forward for everybody. And then we can send other people to your resource. It might not just be people in Texas that could benefit from it. Now, maybe people around the country can start to benefit from that free course that you put out, right? And then now maybe they're reaching out to you because they're seeing you as the expert for this. And we're helping you build what's called know, like, and trust with a new client, a new client base. So
Okay.
Would it be beneficial for them to have like a for-profit division of their company in order to work with?
Not at this point, because like a company like this, we would do that free of charge. We would do all of that for you for nothing, right? For any small diverse business that's especially when you're trying to help other folks, you're trying to help the mental health of other people, because just having you as a partner in that region is payment to us, right? Because we believe in doing the work up front and creating the track record in a region before we go to the agencies. But you'll help us generate that track record in your region. And if you bring on somebody else and we help them, that's another notch in our cap, So eventually when we go back to the agencies, because we're documenting this stuff, right? And we're documenting it for everybody. So we could all work together to use these metrics and these certificates. We could put our certificates together and say, we've helped this many people, and we didn't even know we were working together. You know what I mean? But so that's how we can start to connect people around the country to these different initiatives, to these different organizations, and kind of grow the network and start with things like DOT and end up in, the medical profession or, mental health or wherever you want to take it. If it helps the community, then, we're here to lift it up.
Cool. Thank you, Kai. Bianca, do you have anything? Do you have anything specific? Anything else?
Just say that was a really, really good suggestion. Like I gotta tell you, it's like when my clients tell me, yeah, that's a good point. I'm like, oh, is it? But yeah, I could see how that could be extremely beneficial, because like you said, the grants, they already want to see like the quantification of what you're doing. Like, what are the numbers? How many people? So yeah, I can definitely, that's a really good idea, Kyron. As if you don't do this, every day. But yeah, I really like that idea. So yeah, we'll be talking soon. We'll talk soon. But yeah, that's it for me. We can I guess wrap up by asking you guys what you guys have coming up that you want people to know about.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if you're familiar with PTACs. They're called Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. They're normally based with SBDCs, which are Small Business Development Centers, which is SBA, which is the Small Business Administration's program to help small businesses, right? There's a network of them all around the country. They exist everywhere. In Pennsylvania, we just got done doing a series of workshops for the PTAC network on the western side of the state. Matter of fact, the last workshop is coming up on Tuesday, the 19th for them. And we're going to be covering resources to help firms connect with PennDOT, the Department of Transportation, and opportunities to find and resources to find opportunities and connect with PennDOT. And then on the 22nd, and I believe the 22nd of each day after that for the next 3 months, we'll be doing a workshop for the eastern side of Pennsylvania, those PTACs. And if you go to ProRankAcademy.com, all right, ProRank, PRORANKACADEMY .com, and you can log in there with your Facebook, with your Gmail, or with your LinkedIn. And once you get logged in, if you go to the events in the top menu, there's an events link that will take you to our events calendar, and anybody can sign up for any of those events for free if you're interested in tuning in or learning more, or even just utilizing the system and seeing the system. And if there's any states, if I know, because this might be covering the country, right? Because I know how big this is going to be, right? So if there's any states that aren't there yet, when you get there, if you send us a message and say, hey, look, I would like to be a liaison for my state or for my region of my state, then we will absolutely create that state room, set you up as the liaison, and work with you to start finding and building out the public resources for your community, for your state, or for the section of your state, right? Because what we're going to do is eventually build out the whole country that way and have a network of super friends all connected around the country that can help one another with this kind of stuff.
And these things, I know it's a real simple question, but these things are virtual, right? For the most part?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yeah, and hopefully when things, pick back up and, we get the COVID thing squared away, we'll do some more personal things and some more brick and mortar things. But for right now, we're doing everything virtually.
Okay. Thank you so much. And this is this is Danielle with Renewed Vision, and we had Kyron and Kenneth from ProRank, and Bianca also from Renewed Vision. And I guess we're gonna end it here.
Yeah, what's up?